Welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicole and I'm here to do 25 bookish facts about me. I even made some notes so that I could make sure I had enough of them. So I'm going to try to give you guys a counter below with all of them, and I'm going to try to just go through them one by one. But I just wanted to start with the fact that I've been kind of reading for a while, and so some of these might be interesting little side notes. Hopefully you'll be interested. So, my favorite book when I was growing up was Are You My Mother? Is a one of the little hardcover Dr. Seuss books where this little chick goes around and asks everybody, "Are you my mother?" I don't know why I love that book so much, but I did way longer than I probably should have. So, number 2 was that I have never finished a single required reading assignment in school. A lot of these booktubers that I've seen have been reading since they were little kids. I have not. I never read a single required reading. I never read The Great Gatsby. I never read Catcher in the Rye. The only one that I almost finished was Old Man and the Sea. And the only reason I didn't finish it was because they took my book away. I was loving that book. I really did. I wanted to read it, and they took it away before I was able to finish it. So I never finished a single one in high school unless we read it in class, like Shakespeare. Never finished one. I only finished one required reading in college. I read The Rape of Nanking during my Asian studies in college. The Rape of Nanking is about the Holocaust that happened between China and Japan. Japan came over to China and decimated them, killed millions of people in just a couple of weeks. They did more damage, the Japanese did more damage to the Chinese than Hitler did, period, through all of World War II. And I thought that was hideous, and it was one of those things that nobody ever really heard about. When I mentioned it, everyone's like, "Really? That happened?" And I thought, yeah, it totally happened, and it really affected me. And that book really meant a lot to me, and I ended up doing a project on it. And so that was a required reading that I had to do for school, and it was the only one that I finished. Every other required reading I've ever had, I read just enough to do my studies, just enough to write my paper, never actually finished one. To go along with the fact that I didn't finish anything in high school or college, I did read in college, I just didn't read required readings. But in high school, I didn't. I read 3 books the entire time I was in high school. I read 2 Fear Street books and Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park took me so long that I destroyed the book. And I remember how mad my grandma was when I gave it back to her. And I couldn't understand why she was so upset about me destroying this book. Now that I'm a book lover, I get it. I totally get it. One of the first books that I read after high school was Bridges in Madison County. And I loved it. Turns out I like contemporary and romance. I absolutely loved that book. I hated the movie. Hated it to the point where I could not stay conscious during it. I tried watching it like twice and I kept passing out. Hated it. And I find it funny that a book that I loved so much came with a movie that I despised. My catalyst books that actually got me to truly start reading was the Harry Potter series. I read a couple of books in high school. I read Bridges in Madison County and some of the Left Behind series. And then I really didn't read anything else. I tried here and there to read, but it just didn't fit. It wasn't in my heart until I read Harry Potter. Harry Potter is my catalyst series, and I still to this day adore it. So my number 7 kind of goes along with my number 6, and I counted it out. I read less than 10 books, period, front to back, prior to Harry Potter. 10. Less than 10. It kind of blows me away that a grown woman in her 20s could have read less than 10 books before reading Harry Potter. And to top it all off, I was 22 when I read Harry Potter, and it was just prior to the 6th book coming out. So I got to read 1 through 5, one right after the other. Then I moved on and was able to get number 6 and number 7 right as they were coming out. Is that the next book that I read after Harry Potter was Twilight. And I loved it too. And I hated the movies, well, at least the first movie. And you know what? I have to admit that if it wasn't for those 2 books, I don't think I'd be the reader I am today, because I didn't stop. I went into this bookstore and I talked to this wonderful bookseller at Barnes & Noble, and I told her I just had been reading Harry Potter, that I wasn't a very big reader, and that I wanted to try something else. She handed me this book and said, this is called Twilight, it's brand new. The second book will be coming out very, very shortly. Turns out it came out within a couple of weeks of the 6th book of Harry Potter coming out, so I read them in tandem, one right after the other, as they were being released. And I fell in love, and reading was just something I did after that. It wasn't hard anymore, it wasn't a struggle anymore, it was natural and fun. Number 9, if you can't tell, I love collecting books. It's like a psychotic passion for me, and it drives my husband crazy. He absolutely hates my obsession with collecting books. If you've been watching my channel at all, you may have noticed that I do library hauls as well as book hauls. And if you paid attention to the wrap-ups, you may notice that there's more library books on general in my wrap-ups than there are books that are mine. And it's because I will read a borrowed book faster than I will read a book that I own. So if I get 2 books, one from the library and one from the bookstore, at the same time, I will pick up that library book before I will pick up the book that I bought, because there's a time limit on it. And I don't know why, but it happens every time. I will almost always read a library book before I read a normal book. I am overly protective of my books. Overly protective. I make people go through hoops in order to borrow them from me. I make them promise they will not dog-ear my books, they will not write in my books, they will not hurt my books. If they do any of those things, I will not let them borrow again, because I am so overprotective. I will not do those things to my books. Because of that, I rarely loan them out. I prefer hardcover books. So that was my next one, is I definitely prefer hardcover books over paperbacks. And I prefer if my books all match. I don't like it when my books don't match each other. So if I have some in hardcover and some in paperback, I will try to either have them all in paperback or all in hardcover, because I don't like going back and forth. I do have a set over here that's going to be number 1's a hardcover, number 2's a paperback, number 3's a hardcover. I know it's going to bother me. I just know it. But I couldn't pass up the 3rd book because I bought it on Book Outlet for so cheap that I had to get it. And I didn't care at the time, but I know I'll care once they're all together. To go with my fact that I love my hardcover books, I never read them with the cover on. I don't know how people do it. I noticed that a lot of people will take off their hardcovers, take their covers off their hardcover books, their dust jackets, and put them aside, and that's what I do. I can't imagine trying to read with that thing on. It would drive me insane to have it slipping off the entire time, worrying about it being dinged up. I have a Harry Potter up here that is a illustrated version, and it went into a box on the plane, and it got all dinged up, and it drives me crazy that this poor cover is beaten up, and that's why I try to keep them safe. So I don't know about you, but I prefer substantial real books to ebooks. I have hundreds of ebooks, and I rarely read them. I'm reading one right now, and that just floors me. That's how a sentiment to how much, it tells you how much I like that book, because I do not like reading ebooks at all. Something about it is just, it's not the same. It's not the texture, not the touch, not the smell. It's just not the same for me. I don't know. I guess I'm old-fashioned that way. So my next one is I love audiobooks. And I love audiobooks so much that I listen to them everywhere. I listen to them on road trips. I listen to them at the gym. I actually will have a video, I'm not sure if I'm going to be posting it before or after this one, that will talk about audiobooks, and there's a little story in there about me in the gym listening to my audiobooks while everyone else is listening to their death metal. I won't write in books. I refuse to write in books. And even if a book is like a workbook and it's intended to be written in, I still have problems with writing in them. I also had tons of journals like this. Beautiful hardcover journals that I barely ever use. This is the only one that I've used. I've only used a small portion of it because it still has that book feel to me, so much so that I have problems writing in these. So I have some really, really beautiful journals that I've never written in because I don't want to destroy them. So they just sit on my shelves, not being used. It kind of makes me sad for my little journals, but I still haven't used them. My next one is I've never done a real unhaul. I have gotten rid of old board books that my kids no longer use. I've gotten rid of required reading for school. I've gotten rid of textbooks, but I've never done a real unhaul. I used to get ARCs from working at Borders. So all of the booksellers and everybody had access to this big bookshelf that was full of ARCs, and you were allowed to take home 2 per shift. And so I got a little bit excited and took home 2 almost every shift for like a month. And I had an entire bookshelf of just ARCs. And a lot of them I didn't read. Some of them were amazing. And I felt bad about not reading all of them, so I ended up giving a bunch of them away. But that was the closest I've ever come to an unhaul. And I have a feeling there's an unhaul around the corner for me because my husband's getting tired of me collecting books. And there's several that I didn't like or I can't get into. And he's like, okay, maybe it's time that you get rid of some of these books. So I have a feeling that's going to be a stipulation coming up pretty soon that I get rid of books or I don't buy anymore. Next little fact about me is that, like I said, my husband is cutting me off. He told me that I could buy as many stickers as I want because they are small and once I use them, they sit in my planners and I keep my planners. And really, they don't take up a lot of space. My books take up space. And I have filled up my bookshelves again. To be fair, most of my books are in storage, and the ones that aren't in storage aren't filling up total bookshelves. So this one behind us, there's fabric on. There's fabric on most of these ones. The bottom shelves, they have sewing stuff in them, so I didn't utilize the bottom of the bookshelves. I have a bookshelf over here in the corner that is full of sewing stuff. All of my patterns and stuff are on it, as well as some of my old planner stuff is on it. And then I have a couple more bookshelves that are full of books. And that's not including what's downstairs that has knickknacks and books on it. And then a cube shelf that's got books in the first couple of cubes, and then it's got the little boxes in the bottom. So I see that as I only used part of it for books. The rest of it is not book related. He's agreeing with that. He's seeing how much weight I am accumulating while living overseas and that I need to be careful about how many books I have, so he's kind of cutting me off. So my next one is I've been known to collect complete series before I've even started them. I will find a good price on it, I will buy them all, and then I'll start to read them. Or not. I have some that I still have not started. Not that I haven't finished, but ones I've never started. I do have quite a few that I haven't finished also, and I have some that I really didn't like, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish. If you're curious about the ones I started that haven't finished, of the ones I have in the house, not including what's on my Kindle, not including what's in storage, I will have that video. That video is around. I will try to remember to link it below. I'm really great about linking some things, but other things I always forget about, and that's the one I always forget about. I also rarely, if ever, DNF. I do not like not finishing things. I do not like not finishing books. I do not like not finishing series. I don't think I've ever formally said that I had a book that I was reading that I didn't finish. I have books that I've started and go, oh, I'm going to restart that. Or books that I've read most of the way through and go, oh, I just put that down, I mean to pick it back up again. I started reading Cujo in high school. I got 50 pages from the end of the book where Cujo is slamming his body over and over and over into that little car with those screaming people inside, I never finished it. Why? I don't know. I put it down and never picked it back up. I don't even know where that book went. I don't know what happened to it, nothing. I still refuse to think of that as a DNF because I wanted to finish it. And I may actually have to go out and check out Cujo someday just so I can say I finished that stupid book. But like I said, I have a really big problem not finishing things. And I think it has to do with the fact that when I was a kid I didn't finish lots of things, and so now I don't want to not finish any of them. And I will struggle through a series just so I can finish it. And I think I'm going to have to stop doing that because I have so many wonderful books I want to read. Why force myself to read a book I don't like? Oh, another little fun fact. I'm down to the very bottom of my list. But another little fun fact that I have is that I cannot eat and read at the same time. I can drink and read at the same time, but I cannot eat and read at the same time. I won't eat for hours because I'm engrossed in a book. And I've tried. I end up dropping food all over me. I end up dropping food all over my book. It doesn't matter if I'm sitting at a table. It doesn't matter if I'm sitting on my bed. I cannot eat and read at the same time. I don't know why. It's a glitch. The only way that I can kind of do it is with ebooks. But basic real books, can't do it. So my last one, number 25, is that I've been known to get so into books that you cannot easily get me out of them. I will get so engrossed into a book that I had my little brother actually come up and smack his hands in front of my face in order to get me to snap out of reading Harry Potter. Because my children were sitting next to me. They're like 5 years old going, Mom, 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 Mom. They actually needed me and I did not hear them. I completely tuned everything out. When I was not listening to them, my brother started. And I wasn't listening to him. I had a friend come over. I didn't even know she walked in my door. Nothing. It took him smacking his hands right in front of my face to get me to pay attention. And I don't know about you, but I may read slow, but I have dedication. And my dedication is how I get my books read. And if I have to have my brother physically assault me to get me out of a book to pay attention to somebody else, that means I'm engrossed. That's an awesome book. And of course it's Harry Potter. Of course it's an awesome book. But I always thought that was funny. I don't think I've ever gotten quite so engrossed in any other book that I have in those ones, but I've come pretty close. I've had to have people snap at me, shake me, poke me, physically mess with me in order to get me to come out of a book because I can literally close off the entire world. So that's it. That's my entire list. I've been recording for like half an hour, so I have a feeling that this video is going to be longer than I expected, but just wait until I cut all the stuff out of it. Maybe pretty short after all. We'll see. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.